All right, all week long, PIX-11 news reporters Jay Dowd, James Ford, and Mario Diaz, they have been showcasing the series The Final Fight. It's an in-depth look at boxer Jack Johnson and the battle to grant that first black heavyweight champion a posthumous pardon. We thank you for staying with us. I'm John Muller.
I'm Tamsa Vidal. It ironically comes down to President Obama. The man who campaigned on hope is actually the best chance for Johnson to receive that pardon. This as he sunsets on his presidency after Congress already has suggested a pardon to him on at least 2 occasions.
This is common sense. There should be not a reason to hesitate to pardon Jack Johnson.
Throughout our series of reports this week, we have heard from a variety of voices weighing in on what is universally viewed as a great injustice in our nation's history.
The fact is that there was a racially motivated crime committed. And it's criminal when you put an innocent person in jail, and that needs to be rectified.
That includes U.S. Senator John McCain from Arizona and Congressman Peter King of Long Island, who did not pull any punches with us in categorizing Jack Johnson's life.
First black heavyweight champion and also blackballed.
Historian Teresa Runstetler of American University, the author of an award-winning book on Johnson, summed up his federal prosecution in the simplest of terms.
He was wrongly convicted for something that he did not actually do.
We even heard a voice from beyond the grave.
Let me tell you, man, I feel strongly about this.
The late Ken Thompson, former Brooklyn district attorney, who overturned an unprecedented 21 wrongful convictions in less than 3 years in office. He went on the record with us 3 months before his unexpected death, sharing his intentions to help Johnson receive a pardon.
So I'm determined to do my part as the Brooklyn DA, as someone who believes in fundamental fairness.
We also heard from other practitioners of the sport known as the sweet science.
Jack Johnson was the first guy, so I mean, the first African-American guy to win the championship.
It was more than 6 months ago that PIX-11 News traveled upstate to Canastota, New York, for the annual International Boxing Hall of Fame inductions. It was there that boxers like Jerry Cooney, once considered the modern-day Great White Hope, legendary 4-time champion Roberto Duran, and former heavyweight champ Ray Mercer, all provided their perspectives on Johnson being pardoned.
I think maybe he should because of the racial barrier within the thing.
Then this past Labor Day, prior to the West Indian Day Parade,
he's a great fighter, and he's the best of his era.
One of the premier heavyweights of the last 40 years, Lennox Lewis, weighed in with his own verbal jabs.
I think he should be pardoned. I think the whole crime that he committed it should be thrown out. And I don't even think he committed a crime. I don't call that a crime.
But there is one political heavyweight who we have not heard from, who, in an instant, can clear Johnson's record.
By the time I leave office, the number of pardons that we grant will be roughly in line with what other presidents have done.
President Barack Obama has not spoken publicly on a potential pardon for Jack Johnson. In fact, rarely do presidents comment on the overall pardon process. However, President Obama did just this back on August 4th.
The process that I put in place is not going to vary depending on how close I get to the election. So it's going to be reviewed by the pardon attorney. It'll be reviewed by my White House counsel, and I'm going to, as best as I can, make these decisions based on the merits as opposed to political considerations.
However, perhaps what was striking during our reporting was this interview with former Attorney General Eric Holder.
Jack Johnson, no question, was convicted unfairly. He was targeted for his lifestyle, for the way in which he conducted himself, and it is something I think that our nation should consider.
Holder, the nation's first black attorney general appointed by President Obama, left us slightly confounded after this exchange.
Do you think Jack Johnson deserves a pardon?
I'm really not sure. I mean, I'm not trying to duck the question. I'm just really not sure. always abhor people who are singled out and treated inappropriately by government, and there's no question that he was that. But I'm also the father of 2 girls and married to a wonderful woman. And to know the way in which he treated women, physically abused women, gives me pause about whether or not he's a person deserving of the ultimate presidential act.
The abuse Holder is referring to is referenced towards the end of the 135-page dossier sent to us by the Justice Department. A report from October 29th, 1937, nearly 25 years to the day Johnson was arrested by the feds for, in their eyes, violating the Mann Act. In the report, that is challenging to make out due to blurred font, the special agent who wrote it states Johnson had a history of violence towards women. However, there is no mention of Johnson being arrested or convicted in any of the listed examples of abuse. These were simply allegations. This is important to note since Johnson was arguably the most hated black man in America in the early part of the 1900s, and yet he was never arrested for beating up women. So while Holder, a close advisor to President Obama, sits on the fence regarding Johnson over acts he was never prosecuted for, it begs the question, are other advisors to the president doing the same? Because if the president plans to grant pardons, in his words now,
based on the merits as opposed to political considerations,
then Johnson's pardon should only be evaluated on the facts of his wrongful conviction, nothing else. Moreover, the current administration already has a track record of embracing an individual with a confirmed, documented history of domestic violence.
Tonight we honor the Reverend Al Green.
That is the 2014 Kennedy Center Honors Reception at the White House, praising legendary crooner Al Green, who was arrested in the 1980s for hitting his wife and admitted to it in legal testimony. So considering this, is it fair that the White House honors a confessed abuser of women, but we have yet to hear applause of freedom for Jack Johnson? Whether or not Jack Johnson secures a posthumous presidential pardon between now and the president's last day in office, Johnson's biographer, Teresa Rundstedler, says that if granted, the pardon should not be just a way for Americans to dismiss a deeply entrenched, problematic issue in the fabric of our nation.
Maybe it's not yet time to pardon him, unless it's really the start of a conversation about righting current and past wrongs, rather than just a way of sort of patting ourselves on the back and saying, look at how far we've come.
It's a fascinating case. Once again, that was PIX 11's Mario Diaz. James Ford and Jay Dow reporting a final note. Our team did reach out to the White House today. They did not respond to our questions.
Incredible.